Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your guy PATviaPhilly. You know what I mean? It's aggressive intelligence. Touching down with y'all again. And the topic that I wanted to talk about today is, you know what I mean? The drop was inspired by a conversation that I was having with my big bro Sex the other day. And it was something that I had said, and I didn't really think much of it, but bro made me elaborate on it. And that, that started a whole nother part of the conversation that we was having. And I was saying how things become typical and they begin to lose value. And that applies to many things. And like a perfect example is when you think about today, how much access that we have. And even when you just look at it from the dynamics of relationships, I feel like with everybody having so much access today, and it applies to both, but especially females, with them being able to jump in a DM and have a million candidates waiting at all times, a million clowns ready to put a circus on for them. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I feel like they less willing to try or put that extra work in to make a relationship last. And you know what I'm saying? Because it's too much access. And when you think about before we had social media and everything was on the internet like it is now, I feel like people was more willing to put the work in and go that extra length, you know what I mean, to make something that they value work. And it also works the other way when you think about not having enough access or being too sheltered, not having enough experiences, especially for young men, because so many things different now than like from when my age group, you know what I mean, was growing up, my era, and we got out more and it was more of an adventure. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have as many things to keep us sitting in one spot, to keep us content with being in the house. And I feel like a lot of young men today missing out on that. Like, you definitely got to be more safe these days. It's not the same like my generation was growing up, obviously, but at the same time, you got to keep it balanced because you don't want to be too sheltered, and you don't want to be a young man or a woman. It applies to both, but I just feel like especially for young men, you don't want to wait till you get out here as an adult and start trying to figure things out and figure life out. And I used to always say when I was younger, even when you just think about the aspect like of making money as an adult, you'll never truly begin to know yourself and start learning yourself until you start making some money. Because even when you just look at it as the smallest example, like buying clothes, I used to always use this as an example. That's why I'm saying it now. Like buying clothes, without money, you can't experience different fits. You can't know what fits you the best, what's the most comfortable, what you like. That's how you really learn yourself, like living life and actually getting out here and making a living for yourself. You also learn yourself because it's an adventure. You know what I'm saying? It's a journey. And when you too sheltered and you missing out on that, it could be detrimental later. You know what I mean? When you trying to navigate through life on an adult level, it can hinder you. And a lot of us, including myself, grew up single parent homes with our mothers, and a lot of us didn't even, have visits or none of that. You know what I'm saying? There was no dad around at all, so we already missed out on a lot and was behind in the game. So our mother's nature is to protect us and shelter us, which is a gift and a curse, especially these days, because you can't run as free and it's wicked out here now. But at the same time, you can't be too sheltered, and you still got to get out and live, because otherwise you're hindering your growth. You know what I'm saying? Especially for a young man, because we got so much more that we expected to put on our shoulders. So like I said, they work both ways. You can have not enough access or just be too sheltered, and you can also have too much access to where, things become typical and they start to lose value. And that applies to many things, you know what I'm saying? Even when you look at relationships, like I was spoke on in the other video as well. When you under the same roof, it take away a lot of the things that actually occupied the time between the two people in a relationship. Excuse me. And that's an example of things becoming typical, things that we used to value, and they may have been special to us at the time. When they become too typical, it lose value. It becomes expected, and it's just not the same anymore. And that's a battle that we all face with many things. But like I said, and when you referenced in my last video about men and women being socially awkward, you know what I'm saying? It's like a fine balance because it works both ways. You don't want to be too sheltered. And these days, it's, you know what I mean, everything is just there. So it's up to us to discipline. And, you know, like I always say, put the phone down sometimes, because that's your only escape from it. And you gotta give yourself a break from those things sometimes, just to stay centered and stay focused on your path. You know what I'm saying? But this is just a short drop. I wanted to touch down with y'all. I appreciate y'all tapping in. Thanks for listening. It's Aggressive Intelligence.